I'd like to talk to you about the science behind circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm, if you're not familiar with that, is just kind of how your daily biological, how your body responds to the day occurs. It tells you like when to wake up, it tells you when you're going to be tired, it regulates your blood pressure, it can also tell you like what time of day you're going to be the most active, and maybe you can do the best at going and playing tennis. And everybody has kind of a different circadian rhythm, but typically it runs on a 24-hour cycle. It is regulated by many different factors. A lot of it, though, is light. Regulates it because when the sun comes up, our body responds to that, and when the sun goes down, our body will respond to that differently. But that is all part of our circadian rhythm. Another thing that can regulate circadian rhythm, though, is also like when do you eat. So that can regulate when you're hungry, and also can affect your sleep and your health on that. So what regulates then circadian rhythm is several different proteins that are found in the cells that can regulate cellular circadian rhythm. So a 24-hour, what does your cell do? It turns out that the molecules that are involved, these proteins, have different names, but I will call them by their names. The master one is referred to as BMAL. BMAL1 is the master one, and it has a buddy protein called clock. And when BMAL and clock hang out together, they will cause certain genes in the cell's DNA to become active, and these different genes will do different functions in the cell over the course of the day. Two of the proteins that can be activated are part of what we call PER period, which is PER or cry. And it turns out that PER and cry are best friends too, and they like to hang out together. And when they hang out together and partner together, they will go and will prevent BMAL and clock from binding to the DNA. And when it can't bind to the DNA, then we're not going to get those proteins being synthesized. In addition, we will not get PER and cry, and they ultimately then the proteins will degrade. But that's okay, because then BMAL and clock are turned back on and they can do their job again. And so they do their job on, and then they get shut down, and then they do their job on, and then they go down. And so it's that cycle of 24 hours that we see. It also turns out that food will regulate BMAL. And the way food regulates BMAL is that it will has another friend. We all have friends, right? I have my best friend, but I have other friends too, and sometimes the three of us will hang out together. And it turns out that this other protein, SIRT1, will only come and hang out with BMAL and clock if it's been activated because food is being produced. And when food is being broken down and producing energy, it makes a molecule called NADH. And when NADH is prevalent in the cell because there's food around, it will bind to SIRT1, and SIRT1 then will go and hang out with BMAL and clock. But when it hangs out with it, it kind of distracts them, and so then they don't go and do their job, which is having transcription of certain genes. And so it then regulates circadian rhythm by inactivating BMAL for a short period of time. And then when NAD goes away because we're not metabolizing, then BMAL can start and do its jobs again. So we can see there's several different ways that BMAL can regulate circadian rhythm.